Well, today I am back at my desk. I've been here for a few days actually, and I want to talk to you about the big picture, the annihilation of humanity, part one. In 2016, when I was researching the sexualization of our culture, I awoke to the harsh reality that there was a much bigger picture, a very nefarious agenda, and that was the annihilation of humanity. I know you're going to shake your head, but I think you'll get this picture as I lay it out for you. You know, we've watched sexuality become the central theme of our society, of our culture, of our media, everywhere we go. And in the past 20 years, human sexuality has been transformed and biology has been disembodied. The transgender movement that stands against scientific reality and basic common sense has gained remarkable momentum. Biotechnology is advertised on the basis of progress and improvement for the human species, and it's become the science of the day. It exploits biological processes for prestige, monetary gain, and political agendas, and it has attacked fundamental humanity. Thingification, hey, this is a new word I just learned today. Thingification of the body as consumable has become stylish. So our bodies have now become commodities to be consumed. Reality has been redefined, and truth is manufactured for monetary gain. We saw that happen when we were in Ottawa. If you watched the two different kinds of media exposure, mainstream or legacy media, and compared it to what was happening on the ground with people's videos or other sources of journalism, it was like you saw two different worlds. And that's because truth is being manufactured. And it's manufactured for monetary gain. And it's manufactured in the area of biology and our children. The artificial non-being is now regarded as the only authentic being. So an authentic being is someone who has mutilated their bodies in some way. That's authenticity. That's the new biology. You know, a mismatch arises, not so much between the mind and the body, although that does happen down the road as these children become adults, but between fantasy and reality. Jennifer Bialik from 11th Hour blog, which I highly recommend you search her out on the web, says this: society is now allowing governments to create a social falsehood out of sex, with technology and pharmacology embedding this lie into law and language. Let me read this again. Society is allowing governments, you and I, have allowed our government to create a social falsehood. No, that's a lie. A social lie out of sex. Let's just use the right terminology all the way through. We've created, through the help of our government, to create lies out of sex with technology and pharmacology, embedding these lies into law. They've made it into law and into the language. And our language, and the language that our children are being indoctrinated into, is so all-encompassing, I guess I would say, but it is strategic to confuse sexuality. It is meant to confuse them. And I'll be talking more about that next week. So this corporate bill of goods comes out of a eugenics pursuit to change human biology. And the study of eugenics is about changing and improving biology, if you will. So it comes out of that until what we have is beyond human. It's inhuman. And that is the ultimate goal, actually. We'll get to that in 2 or 3 weeks. The big money invested by the likes of George Soros and Jennifer Pritzker in the transgender phenomenon has succeeded in paying off institutions, government entities, medical associations, and the like, and making our children's bodies their playthings. That's exactly what they've done. Big money has used our children as playthings. Lies that have been perpetuated by academics, politicians, and the media, medical professions have deadened our minds to reality. So if you still believe that your government has your children's best interest in mind, give your head a shake. They do not. They are bought and paid for by big money. Most of the politicians, and I'm going to be adding some clips down the road about some of this stuff that you will be able to listen to the words themselves. You don't have to listen to me secondhand. But body modification in the form of aesthetic surgeries is not mental health care, and it should never be seen as such. It is not any kind of health care, but it certainly should not be used in treatment of gender dysphoric children. We are causing unnecessary health conditions. We're seeing that happen, and it negatively affects body and mind of our children, destroys the normal sexual development of children and young people, and it negatively impacts their physical health. All for the purpose of trying to appropriate the opposite sex, which can never be done. And it should not be considered a reasonable treatment. Yet, that's exactly what the Western world has been doing, because they've been told to do that. This is tyranny against civilization. Jensen and Draffen, in their book, write, lies are expensive to maintain. It takes a lot of money to maintain the lies. At some point, the lies start seeping through. Well, actually, the truth seeps through the lies. And our bodies know when we lie to them. So, they have to keep deadening our minds so that they don't betray us. Keep our minds dead, and then we won't be betrayed by the truth. But our bodies still know. Even when our emotions are numbed and our thoughts are confused, our minds still know the truth. We're not machines. And I want to tell you, the cookies are beginning to crumble. In February, the Swedish National Board of Health, they made a U-turn on their guidelines regarding hormone therapy. So keep speaking up. Their hospital, the largest gender hospital in Sweden, has stopped recommending hormone treatment due to the potential side effects. Really. Because they weren't studied. There were no longitudinal studies of puberty blockers and hormone supplements on children. This has all been experimental, folks, just like we've been saying all along. But closer to home, the largest pediatric hospital in the US has canceled puberty blocking treatments for children, for minors, after a Texas governor, when it was the Texas government, ordered the state's child welfare agencies to investigate reports of gender change treatments as child abuse. So, what did that take? It took parents stepping up and saying, this is child abuse. So that finally someone who was brave enough, this Governor Greg Abbott in Texas, was brave enough to stand up and say, this is child abuse. And the repercussions, they stopped doing the hormone treatments. And guess why? Because they have long-term side effects. They're not helpful, they're harmful. There are all kinds of pharmaceuticals that are actually harmful. But in Canada, what are we doing with the transgender? Well, we're full steam ahead. It's time. It's time to call the trans phenomena what it really is, child abuse. And we need to call comprehensive sex ed really what it is, child abuse. Confusing and corrupting the minds of our children is abusive. We need to refuse to be intimidated. We need to stand up and to speak out on behalf of our children and grandchildren. I hope that you'll join me next week, because on my podcast, I'm going to have a parent who's been doing exactly that. His name is Pierre Barnes. He's from BC. He's been writing a lot of letters. He has been waking people up. And I hope that you'll enjoy our podcast next week. Thanks for listening.